Oh yeah, we are back, episode number 5, Pinkbike Academy behind the scenes. Let's not dilly-dally, let's jump right in.
Last time on the Pinkbike Academy presented by Shimano, we pushed the riders to their limits with back-to-back fitness challenges.
15 seconds.
Last week was
Unfortunately for Misha,
brutal.
It wasn't her day, and the Academy lost another rider. 7 riders remain, and they're all hungry for that top spot. This time, the contestants will face a rude awakening before competing in a series of challenges that replicate the real-life pressures of racing professionally. Jet lag.
This one was good. Early morning. I think we started at, they woke us up at like 4:30 or so. It was early in the morning. Funny note, while we're setting up here, I actually got woken up before they got to my door because they went to Evan, Ben, and Tom's room before they did ours. So I heard a noise outside, bang, 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 la, 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 a bunch of yelling, this, that, and the other. So I woke up early. That's why I showed up at the door when they actually knocked on it. Oh, 4 a.m. It was even earlier. So you'll see they're in here waking Ben and Evan and Tom up. That noise actually woke me up from my room,
My wake-up call
which was
was a little
across
rough.
the hall.
I couldn't really figure out what was going on. Things were really loud. I thought there was an alarm.
Last night they told us, wake-up call's gonna be at 9:30. You get to sleep in today. That didn't happen so much.
Come on, boys. 5 minutes!
That's why I actually showed up at the door when they got there. Thankfully, I remembered to put on pants.
I did find the wake-up call quite stressful. I was like, no, and I realized that we actually had to get ready.
We change plan! Everyone ready? 5 minutes! 5 minutes downstairs. You're riding here.
Yeah, when I was a kid, my dad was waking me up with cold water splashing my face. No, I'm joking.
Funny note, back to that scene when Evan came out of his room. So Tom was still on set. Because of COVID, we all had to stick around for the entire 2 weeks, regardless if we got eliminated or not. Tom actually got up with Evan and Ben, and by the time they were ready to go, he was cooking eggs, he had coffee in the pot, he was getting them ready for the day, just like the ultimate team mom. That I thought was quite funny. What a champ. What an absolute legend.
I don't know, I just hear it and get ready pretty quick.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. I bet you're wondering why we're all up at 5 a.m.
Yes, tell us why.
Today's challenge is all about replicating the pressures that come with racing professionally. Unfortunately, the race starts at the top of the mountain, and it's a little early to take the chairlift. But luckily, there's a nice trail you can pedal up. It'll take you all the way there, and we'll start the race up at Ronda Lake. Everyone ready to race?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. Go! Faster, faster, come on, race is starting, race is starting! Come on!
We were all a little lethargic that early in the morning.
Sun's coming up, guys, come on, let's go! I've seen cattle move faster, come on!
On the hike up to the lake, I kind of took the lead and then just tried to keep the group together on the way up. It was good to just get a nice spin in the legs and get things moving again.
Maybe they'll have coffee up there. A pedal and then a coffee? Yeah.
The lack of sleep is definitely
This pedal up trail was actually pretty wild.
good short bursts of energy because I notice as soon as I'm done anything, I'm like in like a wave of hunger and tiredness.
They're popping. So beautiful. I actually really enjoy going for my dawn patrol rides. You get to like watch the world wake up.
I'm usually more like a nightlife person, so it was very interesting to have experience, wake up before the sun.
Yeah, so that was one of the things that Vlad was talking to me about was the early mornings, because we've been waking up at 8 a.m. or so. Well, waking up at 7 to be ready at 8 almost every day. And Vlad was not necessarily keen on waking up that early every day. He kept asking me, Addison, can you make sure I'm awake tomorrow? Just make sure I'm there, please.
I wasn't struggling as much. I feel like my body already adapting to this kind of working out. So it was really nice. I really enjoyed the climb up to the lake.
Oh, coffee's getting cold. Guys, hurry up! My coffee's getting cold. Come on. We've been here for hours. Get up there.
So this part was actually pretty funny because we came out of the woods and every once in a while we'd see a cameraman in the woods or something. So we sort of had an idea that we were getting close to the top. And then we come out of the woods and we just see this speck of dirt on top of the hill, and it's Jason. And we're all leisurely lollygagging along because they weren't timing us to get up to the top or anything. Jason wasn't super stoked on that and definitely tried to kick us into high gear because we were all being quite lethargic and lazy at this point in time.
Julia! I gather Julia's probably not a morning person.
Yeah, the lack of sleep definitely made me a bit more exhausted, like climbing up to the lake. So I think I was a bit fatigued, but it's definitely a wake-up call.
Contestants, welcome to Ronda Lake. As you all know, recovery is a big part of riding and training. And what better way to recover than an ice bath? Who's excited?
Yeah. Florida boy doesn't do ice. I actually kind of faked it a little bit. I wasn't too much worried about the ice bath challenge, but I wanted to give everybody else a little bit of a reaction. Being Florida boy, everybody sort of assumed that, oh, is he going to be able to take that? So it was kind of cool to have that in my back pocket.
Vlad, you stoked?
Nah.
That was actually a pretty funny segment because I don't do ice baths all the time, but the lakes here are pretty cold. So if you go in a lake up here in Canada, you kind of just used to cold water. So I was relatively used to it. I don't know if it played head games with anybody or not, but you know what? Whatever. It's a game. It's a TV show. Try and work with what you got, right?
Well, it's okay, but I also not a fan of cold water. I don't like cold water. I definitely more like a, either hot tub or warm ocean.
For the next part of the challenge, you will need to spend at least 30 seconds submerged in the lake before getting back on your bike and starting the final part of the challenge. You guys ready for a dip?
Yeah.
All right, let's get into it. Go! Get it!
At this point in time, I was legitimately nervous because they didn't tell us how cold the lake actually was. Being up where we were in the time of year that it was, I was expecting the worst and definitely psyched myself out a little bit for this challenge. Fortunately, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Come on, recovery! Recovery!
When they yelled go, I just went straight into the water. There's no point in overthinking it. And I know the technique is to wear socks going into the cold water so your feet don't get that initial shock going in.
Remember, we want people that are motivated. It's a pro deal.
Get in!
We said shoulders, we said shoulders.
Oh, did anyone start the timer?
In Squamish, we definitely have a lot of cold water rivers, so sometimes we wake up early in the morning and go for a cold swim.
Jo was so excited during this part of the challenge. She literally, I swam out in the lake by her. Everybody else just kind of corralled around the edge. And she literally was just backstroking swimming. She was having a grand old time. It was hilarious to see. And I guess when you do it all the time, it's not that big a deal. She was thoroughly enjoying it. This is not a fake or an act on her part. She literally was really enjoying it.
So it's definitely one of my favorite things. I've grown up swimming, so I really just like playing in the water.
We've got good, strong mental strength happening right now.
We're at almost 2 minutes right now.
And everybody's just sitting still. Jo and I were actually swimming around. What better way to keep your body warm?
Definitely was cold, but because of the adrenaline of the challenge, it actually was way easier if I would just do it on my own.
All right, since nobody's phased, let's up the ante a bit. First one over to the rock gets the prize.
I think at this point, it was 5 minutes in and they kind of just got bored, so they sent us to the rock instead of sitting around waiting.
Lats on lats.
I used to be a professional swimmer. I stopped at 12, so not really professional, but junior professional kind of thing. So it was nice. Could finally use my swimming skills.
Vlad gets the prize.
All right.
Vlad.
Yeah, Vlad.
Vlad, we can see your muscle from here. Good job, brother.
Vlad.
Come get your bonus. Here he is.
Yeah.
Shotgun.
There was a pretty sizable wait between the time of that challenge and us starting the second half of the challenge. So we were all sitting around, and it was fairly cold up there. It was a pretty overcast day. The sun wasn't out. It was a little windy. We were wet and cold from the lake. They did tell us to bring a second pair of clothes, so we all had dry clothes to put on. Thank you, production crew. That was very smart. But we all got so cold that we grabbed the keys from Jason, got in their pickup truck that they had on site, the one that they brought all the gear up in, and all of the contestants were just crammed into this Toyota Tacoma, and we just had the heater blasting. It was all of us. We had the music on as loud as it could absolutely go, just jamming out, rocking the car side to side. That was one of the more fun moments of the entire trip, was all of us contestants being inside that truck, just going hard, trying to get warmed up. That was so much fun. They ended up having to come over and pull us out of the car because we stayed in too long, and they wanted to get the second part of the challenge actually going. That was quite comical and an amazing time.
All right, how's everyone feeling? Warm enough?
Yeah.
With the help of Trail Forks, we've loaded a waypoint onto your Garmin somewhere in the Big White Bike Park. You must get to that waypoint, collect the Trail Forks water bottle located inside of a Fox bag, and bring it back to the Pinkbike Academy as quickly as possible.
We're judging you on the ability to use the Trail Forks app and the Garmin, and also how quickly you get back to the Academy.
And we really want people to sing for themselves.
There are multiple routes to the waypoints. Some are longer but easier, and some are shorter but tougher. Good luck, and I'll see you back at the Academy. 3.
So at this point in time, none of us knew if we were all going to the same point or if they were all different points. We all had a feeling that we were going to the top of the mountain because that would make sense. Why not make it difficult and climb to the top? But we weren't sure if we were going to the same point or different points.
2, 1, go.
I'm going this way.
Before they said go, they actually gave us about 30 seconds or so to look at the map and figure out where we're going. I knew that mine was at the top of Rocket Science, which is a trail on the far side of the mountain that we had been to earlier in the week. So I kind of had an idea of how I wanted to get there, but I knew it would be a decently long climb. But I also knew that that would play in my strong suit versus throwing my bike on my back and trudging through the woods or climbing up rocks or something like that. So I just went with a trail that I knew would play into my strong suit.
Hey, buddy.
I went the hardest way, like the most physical way possible.
At first I didn't know that this trail was here, that Ben was on. I wish I would have seen it because it was by far the shortest route up. But I just didn't see it. I missed it on the map. Kudos to Ben for figuring out. One thing they stressed at the beginning was that they wanted us to think for ourselves. So if I saw Ben going out the back searching for a trail, I'm not going to follow him because definitely going to get major points deducted for following somebody else's idea. Which is why when we all saw him going out the back, we were like, okay, well, whatever that route is, Ben's got it covered. We got to go figure out our own route. But that was one of the things that they stressed a lot. We had to think for ourselves in this challenge.
So I was like an XC race again. I looked on the Garmin, I knew it was on Rocket Science. So I was just like, I knew exactly where that trail was. So I was like, I'm gonna get to the chair and then get as fast as I can to Rocket Science.
We're only about 10 minutes into the competition right now. Ben is the only competitor that chose to hike up the trail with his bike to get to the top of the chairlift the quickest. Whether or not that actually works, we'll see. Everybody else just sped off on the road down there. So chances are they're gonna have to go to the very bottom of the chairlift and then upload.
I decided to really strategize on this one, so I just decided that I had to use my map reading skills, and the Garmin 530 The first thing I did was just making sure that I was facing the right direction towards the waypoint, which is super awesome with the little arrow. As soon as you turn, it turns with you. And then I just sort of bushwhacked up to the quickest trail, and then got on the Hubba Bubba trail, and then just quickly biked up to the peak.
That was one of the things for this contest, is this was early in the morning, so the bike park was closed, so we could use any trail we wanted to. Big kudos on Joe for thinking to just find the closest trail coming down, because you can just backtrack to the top. We weren't that far from the top to begin with. It was just navigating a route to actually get there. I remember as I was passing the lake, Joe was in front of me, and I saw her just turn, jump off her bike, put her bike on her back, and just start trudging straight into the woods. I was very confused on what she was doing. Now I'm not. I understand completely, and it was a good job on Joe.
And just went from there, so it was a very, very fast route.
Me and Vlad were going for the same one. I saw the trail on the right and Vlad jammed the brakes to go for it, but I was like, we'd already been riding down for like a minute at that point, and a minute going down a fire road loses you some good elevation, so I just kept going.
That was a big thing. Was at the beginning, Evan was kind of talking about what he was going to do, and he said he was just going to download all the way to the bottom and take the chairlift up. And I started doing math in my head. I was like, okay, 15-minute chairlift. Let's say it takes you 4 or 5 minutes to get down. That's not very fast. So I don't think I'm going to go with that option. I didn't think that was right for me. It didn't play in my strong suits. Plus, he had already thought of it, so I had to think of something else.
Hello. Okay, so as long as there's no technical malfunctions with the chairlift, we should be doing pretty good.
I don't think the chairlift was a bad idea. That was definitely my backup plan. But as soon as I saw every single person turn left down the road, I was like, at least my route will be more interesting.
Joe was majorly impressive on this one. Crushed this challenge. I still can't believe that Ben was 5 minutes faster than her, though. One thing it doesn't show is that I actually saw Evan on the chairlift as I was climbing up one of the trails. Evan scooted right over the top of me, and when I saw him, I was just like, oh no, I screwed up big time. That is not what I wanted to happen. That was a very demoralizing moment, especially because I was still a couple minutes climb from the top. That ripped my heart out, but I will say that I pinned it. Jason gave me crap the day before for not giving it 100%. Climbing this mountain, I gave absolutely everything I had.
Yeah, for the scavenger hunt, I decided to kind of just like make traverse across the mountain. Should I take that? Gonna make do. And turns out it wasn't maybe the best suggestion for me, just because I'm not the best at hike-a-biking.
We can't always just rely on like brute strength all the time. Women have to like figure out a way to be just as good at the sport, but figure an alternative method to do it. Like really use our brains a lot.
When you find yourself walking, crossing the mountain and there's a chairlift, don't think it's a good sign.
Here,
Should be right on top of it.
So here you'll see that I'm looking for the waypoint on my Garmin. There was a dot on my Garmin that said where the bottles were at. At this point in time, I had already passed that dot on the trail. So I thought, oh no, I hope I didn't miss it, because the last thing you want to do is miss the waypoint and have to hike back up, which is why I'm going so slow here. And I was super bummed about it, but on my Garmin I had already passed the waypoint and just wanted to make sure that I got it right and didn't have to hike back up. I'd rather lose a couple seconds slowing down and making sure I'm in the right place versus slamming down the mountain and having to climb back up, because it's definitely not going to be faster if you have to do that.
I actually think people are starting to be a little unassuming of me. I've been kind of flying in the middle of the pack the entire time.
Oh no.
And I'm just going to continue to do that and see how far it takes me, because that's just who I am.
So that was not what I said. That was two different sentences edited together. The magic of editing. I definitely did not say I'm flying middle of the pack, that's where I'm going to stay and continue to do that. This day I gave absolutely 110% everything I had. And at the top of the climb it showed it, as well as at the finish line it showed it. I really, really gave everything I had today. So clever editing there. I'm kind of bummed on how that was edited, because it made me sound not good, I guess. It made me sound like I was kind of just not taking this seriously, but the entire time I've been taking this seriously, I've been doing what I think is the best way to get to the finish and win the entire thing, because that's what we're all here for. So I'm a little disappointed on how that was edited, but gotta keep the drama alive, right?
I should be right on top of it. There it is.
By this time, I was way past the waypoint on my Garmin, which also disappointed me a little bit, but they said it was going to be super obvious and that you couldn't miss it, but I definitely didn't want to somehow accidentally miss it.
Initially, I was gonna hike up to the chairlift, changed my mind. I went back down and traversed down the road to the same elevation as the waypoint, and then just hoofed my bike across as fast as I could underneath the chairlift.
I was really surprised to see all of them, because I actually saw all three of them hiking straight across the mountain as I was going down and coming back up. One of the mistakes that I made was not judging how far down the mountain I had to go before I got to the service road going back up to the mountain. I went probably 2/3 to the bottom of the mountain before coming back up to the top. I didn't take that into account beforehand, but I actually saw all three of them in the woods trudging across. I ran into Vlad as he was riding down one of the down trails and just looked completely lost. I thought about stopping and asking where he was going, but I was realizing in my head already at that point that I had made a big mistake.
Another easy win today, went out there. I just thought, everyone else is doing the easy route, might as well take the challenging route and clean up, So yeah, I just went for it. I didn't even see anyone else. I think they're probably about like 2 hours behind, so.
Done.
Dude, we were barely even ready for you.
Oh man.
Where did you go? What was your strategy?
I went up the steep hill.
Punched up the steep
Yeah,
hill?
I went for the all-in. I just put zero effort in and still win, so maybe one day you'll learn how to put on a challenge.
All right, production team, can we reassess the future challenges and ramp up the difficulty specifically for Douche Ben here? Thank you.
Damn it! I thought I had you!
Go.
I definitely feel proud of myself for today. I think that I I have unique skills. I'm really trying to hone in on like all the things that I'm really good at. I'm not the fastest pedaler, so I had to be the most strategic.
Yeah, man.
Yes.
Sweat on it.
Yeah.
Joe and Ben absolutely crushed this challenge. When I came down and talked to them about how fast they had gone, I was blown away by it.
I knew I was lacking behind. I sprinted to what I thought was the finish line as hard as I could and gave every last little bit I had.
Addison, you okay?
Yeah.
You're not at the finish line yet.
What?
You gotta give the bottle to me.
Well, we passed the start line. Jeez.
So in previous days, the start and finish line were typically at the same place, and the start line was just down the hill there. I blew that one. I should have known that I had to actually get to Jason, but it was, all in all, it didn't cost me anything, but it was pretty funny that I actually stopped short of the finish line. But as you can see by my breathing, I did sprint quite hard getting into that.
There you go.
I was slightly disappointed because obviously I wanted to win that. This was a big day. Hopefully we'll get another chance tomorrow. Vlad is way off. I saw him going down when I was going up on like some of the flow trails.
Here we go. Oh my God, it was taking forever.
Glad I wasn't the only person that was looking for the bottles, thinking they missed it.
Yeah, today's performance, it definitely was not my best. Yeah, I kind of chose a bad choice of how I was going to navigate. I decided to just bushwhack all the way across the mountain, which with short legs is not the best plan.
Trail Forks bottle in hand.
Can't believe they just bushwhacked across the mountain. That's some thick terrain to walk through.
Straight across. Just straight across.
That's gnarly.
I felt like mine was a safe choice. It seemed to work. I feel like I was able to get it done quite quickly.
Trail Forks bottle. Let's see.
I had just a little problem with the Garmin, which I should have fixed. So I went a little bit around, but I think the strategy was great. Like, it was like for me, but it didn't turn out as well. But it is what it is.
Let's cheer on.
Finish it, finish it!
Hell yeah.
Definitely my biggest mistake was my strategy. I thought the chair might be too slow because it takes about like 10-15 minutes to get up it. That's why I decided to just go straight across the mountain.
You guys obviously all had very different strategies, but it was cool to see. You all took different routes there. I think some paid off and some maybe didn't. But don't forget, we're taking the whole day into account when judging your performance for this challenge. So give us some time. The judges need to crunch some numbers. We'll come back to you with some results. All right, early morning today.
Earlier than I've had in a long time.
I got it.
So far in this episode, one thing that I've noticed is because this is only a 26-minute show, I mean, we're already most of the way through it, there wasn't enough time to really develop and show you like, the different trails that everybody took. This one I would have really liked to seen as an hour. Obviously, they can't do that because it's a 30-minute show, but it would have been cool to see this one as an hour and see the way they would have edited it, because there was a lot of build moments that I think they missed because of time restraint. So there was a lot that went into this challenge between people's efforts going up, people's efforts coming down, different strategies. There was a lot going on in this.
I gotta say, it was quite the treat.
It was nice to be a morning person on this one.
Contestants up.
Really nice.
You are savages.
Well, it was the point, I mean, those guys were up quite fast for the boys, so I wish I could go a bit harder, but They are on it.
Christina, how are the girls this morning?
They were definitely a little slower than I anticipated. I didn't really get the reaction that I wanted, you know. If that was me and I was vying for this opportunity of a lifetime, I'd be up in my skippies, ready to go at a 10.
The men's side of things, we were all up really quick. They said 5 minutes. I think Vlad and I were out the door in 3 minutes or so, and that's from no clothes to fully dressed with riding gear and everything. I was kind of surprised at how quickly we made that happen that early in the morning. That was fun. It was good. It's always good to get scared awake once in a while.
Tension. There's really no excuse on their part.
So we challenged them with a climb up the mountain, a little bit cruel for sure that early in the morning.
Brutal
Then
climb.
ended at a lake.
Not a rideable
Did kinda
climb
like
in a
an
lot of
ice bath
places.
Challenge. So who embraced it?
I mean, we can safely say that Joe embraced it.
First one, keen to get into the water. It's quite impressive.
Now getting to the final part of today's challenge, the scavenger hunt. And it was interesting to see everyone just spread out like little ants all over this mountain. Who had the best strategy, Fab?
Joe again, because she beat like guys like Evan or Edison that are machines. I mean, she took like a route straight up the hill. Yeah, she was like really confident. Also, I mean, Ben, you're gonna give credit to him because even if he's super fit, still like used the fastest route for his skills and smashed it. And even he like took the chairlift and only guys to like have really the commitment to go down to go back up. Yeah, Joe, Ben, and Evan clearly like shine today, I think.
What about the bottom riders? Who are they?
I would say Vlad, Angie, and Julia were kind of all holding up the back. For me, with Angie, like, it's kind of hard to get a rise out of her.
You want to be always giving positive energy and really like driving the people.
Vlad, again, in the bottom.
For Vlad, somehow the attitude is giving him this extra bonus points that make him slide through.
And then finally, Julia.
I think Julia just stand out, has been having a bit of a hard time from the water to the time.
Yeah, again, the pep in the step, it just wasn't there.
All right, sounds like we have our bottom three.
This brings up a really good point in being between a professional athlete to an influencer to whatever you want to call what we're attempting to do is attitude is a lot of things. Being positive, being an inspiration to people is a huge part of the job that I think a lot of want to be cyclists miss out on. There's so many things you can do outside of just being a fast athlete to be a good ambassador or a good representative of a brand. And that's what I found that a lot of companies look at as much, sometimes even more than necessarily race results, is just being a good representative of the brand and of the image that they want to portray. So just keep that in mind, that you don't have to be a world number one to be an ambassador for a company. It does help, and definitely skills help a lot, but being a good representative and just a good, decent human goes a long ways in being an ambassador.
3 riders then, and sounds like you've also made a decision. Guess I gotta go let them know. All right. I don't know about you guys, but I am exhausted. I would say sorry, but today's challenges were designed to replicate the real-life pressures that professional racers go through, and I think they did just that.
One thing he actually said to us on set that a lot of people, I think, are missing from this. People are asking, what does this challenge have to do with racing? Let's say if you get selected to race on Orbea's EWS team, you're traveling all over the world to various different time zones from around the world, which means you could be jet lagged, you could not sleep the night before. There's so many different variables that happen whenever you go to a race all around the world that you're going to need to overcome to perform on the day of. This was a great representation of that. And I think that this was a really good challenge to encompass some of the stresses that you will face, because when you go to Brazil or you go to Finale de Guerre, you go to a place where You don't speak the language. It's in a completely different time zone. Your body clock is completely flipped around. There's so many variables that you just can't account for, that you have to be ready for anything and everything that's going to happen. Case in point, us getting to sleep in. Oh wait, nope, you've been woken up at 4 a.m. to go hop on your bike and jump in a freezing cold lake. It's actually a really well-designed challenge to show that aspect of stress and to see how people cope with it. I really applaud them on this one. I thought this was a really well thought out and designed contest.
That being said, Addison, please take a step forward. I've heard you mention multiple times in earlier challenges that you were saving yourself for future challenges. At the finish line today, you basically collapsed. Was today 110% for you?
Yeah, I made a mistake and decided to pedal all the way up, and in that I knew I was losing a lot of time, so I really had to empty the tank to the top.
I think that's a good reminder for all of you. Every day there's an elimination, and to give 110% every day, because the judges are always watching, they're always talking. Addison, let me take a step back.
I don't know in this situation, I don't know if that was supposed to be a stab at me or what it was really thought out to be, but to say I wasn't giving 100% every day is truthful but false narrative at the same time. This is an endurance-based challenge. There's 2 weeks of riding for the most part. Well, 10 days, 10 eliminations, plus or minus a few non-elimination days. So there's a lot of riding. There's a lot of hours spent on set. We spent countless hours every day on set, whether it was riding, focusing on what we had to do. It was a big mental challenge throughout the entire week. So to say you're not necessarily putting in 100% physically every day, well, it is an endurance event. Like, this is 10 days of being spot on every day. You can't go 110% every single day for 10, 11, 12 days in a row. You just physically can't. So you have to best judge what your most efficient path to the finish line is. And I hadn't said multiple times that I wasn't giving 100%. I said that one time, and that was on the tax challenge, because if I would have buried myself to the point of no return on the tax challenge, I would not have been able to climb and race Ben as well as I did. I would have lost that race significantly more, and then on today's challenge I would have been even further back because I would have been physically exhausted from the day before. So I am taking the best route that I know to get to the finish line in the most efficient, appropriate way possible, because I wanted to win this competition. It wasn't just I wanted to float in the middle of the pack and make it as far as I could. That is a completely false narrative, because that's not true. I wanted to win this competition. So I designed and thought up my most efficient route and best possibility of winning and drew that into a plan. And so far I've followed it very much to a T. Today I made a mistake. Navigation-wise, I blew that. I should have gone in the route that Ben went, and as soon as I started going down the mountain, I knew it, but you have to commit to whatever route you decide. If you're going to go into it, you can't do it halfway. It's like Joe said. She was all in. Ben said he was all in. He was either winning or not. Well, once I started on my route, I was 100% committed. I didn't win it. It didn't go in the way that I wanted to. But when I got to the top of that climb, I was proud of how fast I did it. I absolutely crushed that route. Okay, not too much of a rant there, but the narrative here wasn't that great. I understand what Jason was getting at, but the editing made it look like I was sandbagging the entire week, and that is not at all what I was doing the entire week.
Joe, can you please take a step forward? This morning you were more awake than me. You did a synchronized swimming routine in the lake, and you went full beast mode during the scavenger hunt. Today was your day. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You may now take a step back. Angie, Julia, Vlad, please take a step forward. Angie, Your route during the scavenger hunt was a little questionable,
I like the pain.
but the judges admired your grit and determination to get it done. And for that reason, you're safe. You may now take a step back.
Oh yeah.
Vlad, on the bottom again today. How was the challenge for you?
It was fun. I decided to pick the shortest line, straight line, and the strategy was good, but I did a mistake.
Oh my God, it was taking forever.
So it didn't go as planned.
Julia, the judges felt your attitude wasn't there today, and you found yourself lost on a ski run. How did it go for you today?
I was definitely a bit out of my element. Going up to the lake, I was trying to conserve some energy, so I was a bit far back, and I tried to persevere and choose the shortest route. May not have been the best strategy for me, but I was able to get it done and really try to push through the pain, and yeah.
The rider going home today is Julia. Your time at the Pinkbike Academy has come to an end.
Like, I went full gas yesterday, and I think I did pretty well in the challenge, and probably was a bit fatigued from that. With enduro, you have to make sure you get through the day, or else you're not going to win the race if you can't finish it. So that was kind of my concept for today, but I guess it didn't work.
That was brutal. None of us expected that one. That was a huge blow, and again, it was just another realization that every day you have to be on point and you have to do well, and that it could be your day or it could be your day to go home. Every single day you had to wake up and charge. That was pretty cool. I think the only thing about this episode is that this one would have been a great example of being an hour show, because there were so many small little tiny details and this, that, and the other that you just weren't able to capture in the 30-minute episode. So this one I would have really loved to see an hour out of, but what can you do when you commit to a 30-minute series? That's what it's going to be. As every day, just thankful to survive and to keep churning on. Once again, Vlad in the bottom. I'm bummed out on that, surprised on that, but he really has to step it up. It's not working the way he is right now, so he's got to change something if he wants to move on. Anyways, I have rambled on enough for this episode. Thank you for staying tuned with me. Thank you for tuning into the channel. If you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button, like the video if you like what I'm putting out. Stay tuned, because episode 6 is going to be a big one. Episode 6, I'm actually going to split into 2 parts. I'm going to do the regular episode like I always do, and then an episode 6.5, which will go into deep detail on the mental stresses that go into being a professional athlete. My sister actually works in the psychology field, so she's going to join me on the show and sort of walk into details and explain why your mind does certain things, because my mind during challenge number 6 went to extreme places that I didn't think it was possible for it to go through, and it brought up very odd psychological confusion within myself. So that's going to be a really fun one. That's going to be episode 6.5. Episode 6 will be just like this one, same kind of walkthrough with maybe a little more detail. Episode 6 is a pretty big one, as you may well now know. So stay tuned for that. Like, subscribe to the channel, and for episode number 5 of Pinkbike Academy Behind the Scenes, I'm Addison Zawada, and I will see you in a few short clicks.